waiting for. Please welcome the Pelbros Podcast.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boys, the Pelbros, up in the his house as per usual. It's me, myself, Ryan DW. Do I really need to make an introduction? And obviously, I got my co-host on the line. Can we get a shout out? Can we get some love for?
Yo, James here, what up?
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands up for what's up. It's who?
Yeah.
You
What?
didn't say your name though, did you?
I did, yeah, I said James.
Oh,
Yo.
my bad. I thought you just said, hey, what's up? Alright, yeah.
Pelbros here.
Yeah.
Jruebros here.
Yeah, oh, bro. Too soon, man. Like, alright, okay. Yeah, no. I think this is officially the Jruebros episode, though. So, I mean, obviously, we are still, I guess, a bit salty, or not salty, but still shook over that entire Jrue Holiday trade. But we'll kind of dabble into that in a second. If you don't mind, I want to do a quick little bit of housekeeping. I mean, it's been a month since we've recorded another episode, but we have been dishing out content on YouTube. So if you guys haven't been seeing that, y'all are missing out, bro, because we're blowing up on YouTube, bro. Like, we put up a video about the Jrue Holiday trade recently too. We got a lot of shit for it, bro. I'm not gonna lie, right?
Most hated video.
Yeah,
Most
like,
disliked video.
yeah, like we have never got a dislike in our entire YouTube thing. You know, I've like talked shit about everyone, right? I'm surprised we haven't got a dislike before. Like, we had actually not got a dislike before. And then finally, for this one Jrue Holiday video where we're just keeping it real, right? Bang, dislike. I think the ratio was 6-9. Like six likes to 9. And like, you know, like two or three of those likes is like me. I even got one of my boys, yo, can you help with the ratio here? No. Because, yeah, that's that YouTube algorithm, bro, trying to fuck with us. But, yeah, apart from that though, it's been going good on YouTube. So I reckon definitely if you guys aren't on our YouTube, suss that out. It really supports us because YouTube is, I think, obviously, yeah, YouTube is kind of like the best way to get like bite-sized information about the Pelbros, because not everyone wants to sit around listen to these two Australian cats talk about Pelicans for however long. I know you guys do, and we appreciate that. That's love to you guys. But at the same time, YouTube is a really good way to kind of like get the roids version of our content. So if you guys haven't hit it up yet, definitely suss it out on YouTube. But we got love to you guys if you guys are tuning in from Spotify, Apple Music, whatever it may be, Google Podcasts, etc. But apart from that, the last thing I want to, with a little housekeeping is, James, mate, why don't you tell them where they can find us on?
Yeah, at Pelbros on Instagram.
Yeah.
Pelbros.com for everything else. That would link you straight to the YouTube. But yeah, type in YouTube, you know, Pelbros Podcast, you'll find us. And then lastly, pelbrospodcast@gmail.com for any other housekeeping as well, any feedback, any, otherwise just DM us on Insta.
Yeah, it's some good shit. But, I mean, it's episode 19, James. It's been a month's time. How do you feel, mate? I mean, a lot has changed in that month, eh?
Yeah, it's been huge. So finally, they've announced a whole bunch of things like when the NBA is starting. So I think it's December 22nd, I think. So exactly in a month from now.
Yeah.
So a bit of a late start to the season. I believe it's going to be a shortened season. But aside from that, we've had the draft, which happened, I think, around a couple of days ago. And then we had free agency start.
Yeah.
And that's been huge. There's been a lot of moves for a lot of teams. The free agent class this year isn't that strong, but there is still a lot of fat contracts going around. So yeah, this episode will be mainly dedicated to the Pelicans and a bunch of roster moves that we've made this season, or this off season, I guess. With actually quite a lot of moves, quite a lot of changes to our team makeup and team dynamic.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, so obviously we're just kicking into the first one, and probably the biggest move for not only the Pelicans, but maybe even in the whole free agency and off season. And obviously that's Jrue Holiday being moved to Milwaukee and giving Giannis the second, third star that he was looking for in order to prop up their contending chances. So we already did a video on our initial thoughts on that. Check it out on YouTube. That's what we just talked about.
Yeah.
So if you want to know that, definitely check it out there. But now that we've had a few days to process, not only that is that the trade has sort of changed a bit. The trade now involves a fourth team, and that involves the OKC. So from there, we're receiving Steven Adams. So, you know, the Kiwi, for those who don't know him. So that's an interesting addition to the trade. And it kind of changes our thoughts. Ryan, what are your thoughts on that? Now that you've had a few days to think about it, what are your kind of thoughts now on the Jrue trade.
Well, I was going to ask you. So it was 4 teams. Who was that third team that we flipped George Hill to?
Oh man, let me quickly check.
Yeah.
I had it on my screen right now, and then suddenly it disappeared.
Yeah, Pelbros, the most updated information for your Pelicans news.
I literally just had it.
Yeah.
Out.
Yeah, because I was hoping you knew. I was like, shit, who was it again?
So basically, what happens is Milwaukee receive Jrue, and then they receive a pick, which is like a nothing kind of pick. In that trade, we got George Hill, Eric Bledsoe, and then we didn't add a 4th team. We added a 3rd team, which is OKC.
Okay.
And then we gave up George Hill, and then I think a 1st round pick in order to get Steven Adams. So Sam Presti, licking his lips, getting bloody every single pick for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And then that's the trade at the moment.
Yeah, I think I saw a stat. It was like OKC actually has more 1st round picks than the entire league combined now.
Yeah. Sorry. So the 4th team actually was Denver.
Yeah,
so
what
what
that's what I
happened
was going to say,
was
because we drafted an RJ Hampton guy for them, right? That's what it was.
That was the 4th team, yeah. We drafted the guard, and then we traded him straight away to Denver.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, bear with us guys here, because, we don't, neither of us claim to be fucking trade machine experts or anything like that. So we're, when it comes to the trade kind of business, we're just a bit like, oh shit, a bit slowing down there. But apart from that, in terms of the trade, we've had, because we did a recording, obviously that video, that was like the day of, that was like the traumatic experience itself. Now it's that we've had some time to pass, bro. It's the exact same kind of thing I said to you, I guess how I ended that video before, right? Like, is that it's just like a breakup kind of thing like that, bro. All I can do is, like, if you truly love Jrue, right? Because we are the Jruebros, at least for now, is that we should be happy with the fact that he is at least going to a contender and potentially winning a championship. But the thing is that obviously with that, my main kind of 2 cents that I didn't mention before is that it may actually be a really good fit because of how Jrue, I guess, played with AD for so long, and especially in that playoff series against Portland, how he fucked shit up, right? If anything, you can argue, not just argue, it's pretty much a fact that Jrue Holiday was the best player on the floor, not fucking AD. That kind of I'm serious too. So with that, the reason I'm bringing that up, right, is because Giannis is not the exact same as AD, but it's like almost like a similar kind of similar kind of role, similar kind of like, okay, he's the, what do you call it? Like, he has that same kind of potential, that superstar energy, whatever bullshit. But the only difference between AD and Giannis is, especially if Giannis decides to stay another year, is that Giannis ain't no bitch like AD. So, you know what I mean? If anything, it's going to be so much like fucking better, like that they got Jrue there too. So, I do wish them the best in terms of like I will definitely be tuning in for like Jrue in Milwaukee games and Jrue, in the Eastern playoffs. That's gonna be sick, right? But at the same time, like I said, it does, like this is the thing, like it looks good on paper, the deal, as opposed to like what it is really. Because the main kind of thing is that, because if assuming Giannis stays and the Milwaukee Bucks do good, that means the whatever kind of like 1st round draft picks that we got sent to us doesn't really mean shit. However, the last thing I'll end with is that, like we just saw with the what do you call it? Like this year's draft thing where we switched around RJ Hampton, all that kind of shit. These what's it called? Although these draft picks may not necessarily be like the best kind of like picks that we could get, we can use them as like currency in the NBA to maybe trade up, or maybe to like chuck in a deal as we're trying to get pieces that we want. So in terms of that, that's okay, I guess. You know what I mean? And I can kind of see why we're getting a lot of backlash, but at the same time, I feel as if a lot of people should be fucking shutting the fuck up for 1 second and actually listening to what we're trying to say. Because I feel as if we are, we are still giving it a somewhat level-headed response to the entire trade. That's my 2 cents. What about you, mate?
Yeah, I think most people are pretty optimistic, or they like the moves that we've made.
Yeah.
In terms of from a Pelicans perspective, obviously the biggest thing is Steven Adams now joining the team. So I think, from my opinion, from face value, what I see, adding the extra team and actually acquiring Steven Adams, I think is a good thing.
Yeah,
in
true.
terms of, it makes the trade better, in my opinion.
Yeah, that is
from
true.
what we were receiving before. If we were just going to receive George Hill, Eric Bledsoe, and obviously they were probably going to be used to be flipped anyway. But just face value, comparing what we needed at the time, Steven Adams is definitely a lot better since we decided not to re-sign, or more so maybe D Favors decided to sign with Utah, go back there and be the backup forward there on some pretty decent coin. That means that we had to fill an empty slot at center. Jackson Hayes is still a bit raw, so I think bringing in Steven Adams is definitely a positive. And not only that is that he brings better help defense and rebounding than D Faves. Whereas I think the offense kind of neutrals out that they're both kind of similar on offense, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm a bit optimistic about this trade. I think Steven Adams is a good locker room guy. I think he's got a good sort of mentality and toughness to him. And then I think he also set some great screens, which I think D Faves was a bit lazy about. Yeah. I'd say. Steven Adams is known for great screening. He'll prop up shooters like BI, JJ. And be positive on the floor.
And maybe even Zion.
Yeah, exactly. So he'll bring those intangibles that, you don't really count as a stat. In terms of the roster itself and that starting lineup, I feel like, obviously losing Jrue and Bledsoe filling it in. At the moment, we don't know how he's going to play.
We don't even know if he's going to stick around in this, if we're going to flip Bledsoe or not.
Yeah, exactly. I'm optimistic that we'll hopefully flip him for someone or something. There's not many there's not many defensive kind of wing players out there at the moment, so it's not looking too great. But yeah, in terms of receiving Adams, I think it's positive. He is on a lot of coin, but his contract ends at the end of this season, so this is his last year. So after that, it's unlikely. I don't see us re-signing him, and they'll give him an opportunity to explore other options or other teams. So positive in my books. I think this extra team has brought in and made it a better trade overall. Still sad to lose Jrue. Like you echoed completely exactly what I thought. We're still going to support him, and we got to look at it as this is good for him.
Yeah.
But overall, I think we're in a solid position with our defense at the moment. Spacing is a big issue. I think a lot of people are concerned about spacing. Zion can't shoot threes consistently. Steven Adams isn't really a shooter, so who knows what's going to happen. But I'm a bit more excited to see what's going to happen throughout this season.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, when I was talking about that stuff just then, I totally forgot that, yeah, we are going to be getting Steven Adams from that exact same trade. So, I mean, yeah, so, okay, so I was going to say, before we get it properly into Steven Adams, I want to ask you then, so what are your thoughts now then, I guess, like, if I was to, get like a rating or something like that, in terms of like how it was post just immediately on the day of when we found out the news about Jrue Holiday got traded, and now on the weekend 4 or 5 days later, what would you say is the kind of pain scale, if I could get that?
Yeah, well, if we compare it like a breakup, then yeah, I'd say at the start it's denial and anger. Yeah. So that's why we came out with that video. We got a bunch of hate because we probably were on the negative side, or people saw us like not kind of valuing the trade at all.
Yeah.
But now I'm like definitely a bit more optimistic. I've accepted it. I'm willing to move on, and the pain is kind of it's subsiding. I'm learning to live with it. How about that? Jrue's in a better spot, and overall we just got to move on. I think we are still making some good moves. It would just be interesting to see where Bledsoe ends up, and hopefully we can actually, flip and make some good choices. And then we just got to rely on the draft. The draft in the next few years will be so crucial for us to actually pick a solid player. But yeah, overall, I think I'm in a good spot right now.
All right. No worries. Okay, so then in terms of like, was it a good trade for us? What do you reckon about that now that we've had some time to sit on it?
Look, it's not what I was still not what I was expecting. But I think we've made a decent amount in terms of what we had and what we could have got. So, based on Jrue, based on even if you go back to the AD pick, what we got for those two players, considering they were sort of, AD obviously wanting to leave, in terms of like the future and the picks that we've built for ourselves, I think it's definitely optimistic. Myself personally, I'm not that big on gambling for picks. If you got a sure thing, why kind of draft it? Because, it doesn't always pan out in terms of drafting. But look, we're a young team. David Griffin knows we're not in win now mode, so he knows that we've got to build for the future. And I think things will look good in the next 5 years. What we're saying, 2026 was our championship year.
Yeah.
So I think we're on track for that timeline. But yeah, what about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, because before we were probably kind of like talking shit about the trade. I mean, I guess especially with the entire Steven Adams kind of thing, I'm a bit more like, yeah, upbeat with the trade, I guess, but I'm still not necessarily happy about it. I can't necessarily still say it's a good trade, but at the same time, I wouldn't say it's a bad trade. So now I'm a bit just indifferent. It's just more a bit like, yo, my boy Jrue's gone. But sorry, having said that, we actually asked you guys, right? Because I got a plug. You know, your boy got a plug. We asked you guys on Pelbros on Instagram. It's quite interesting too because we haven't really been posting shit, and then we asked you guys this question on our Insta stories, and bro, I think we probably got the most like views or like stories that like story like interactions like ever, right?
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of talk around the Pelicans and Jrue at the moment.
Yeah, but so yeah, you guys are getting hype, so that's freaking sick. So yeah, like I said, if you guys haven't checked us out on Instagram yet, hit it up at Pelbros because it's very easy. You get to also interact with us. We interact with you. It's all cutesy funsy. Anyway, with that, we actually asked you guys about it, and the poll came back. It seems as if, obviously, though, we understand what our demographics are right now on Instagram. Instagram, it's obviously a lot of the more Gen Z, younger freaking type crew, right? So, having said that, out of everyone that we asked, pretty much it was 70%. Everyone was on board with the trade. Like, yes, this is like a freaking hectic trade. And 30% were against it. So, I mean, I feel as if that is pretty decent, accurate, like, measurement for, like, the entire Pels community as a whole. Don't you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. Just a bit of a disclaimer that we did put that up before the Steven Adams trade came through. I'd actually say it probably would have swung people a bit more in favor. So
maybe like 80-20.
But I think 70-30 is pretty accurate. Maybe 80-20.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely. I think we got a pretty solid outcome towards the end there with that trade coming through.
Yeah. All right. I mean, that's probably. This is not the end of Jrue Holiday. Like, as he's making moves in the Milwaukee Bucks, we will still be featuring about like Jrue. You know, we're still always going to be giving love to Jrue. So, you know, we're not just the Jruebros today. We will continue the Jruebros legacy as we continue. However, I think as of right now, we can like put it to rest. As in, like, it's happened. The Jrue Holiday trade. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Yeah.
So that actually brings us to the next topic of discussion. You were kind of touching on it before. I just want to, let's quickly jump into this. Steven Adams is now a piece of that trade, with the Jrue Holiday trade. What are your thoughts? I mean, obviously you're kind of touching on it before, but what are your thoughts in terms of, like, has our roster improved from last year? Let's also talk about, like, Okafor leaving, D Faves leaving, and who was in the market available, like Aaron Baines, and other kind of centers, maybe even like someone like Miles
Serge
Turner.
Ibaka as well.
Serge Ibaka. There's that, and then after that, I just want to see, like, what do you think in terms of, like, has our roster improved from last year, and also, how do you see the fit in terms of Steven Adams with Zion and all our cats? Speaking of which, before we even properly get into that, a very interesting fact that you linked me is that Zion Williamson is actually the longest tenured Pelicans player right now on our roster, which is quite freaking crazy,
Yeah, the veteran locker room guy, mate. One season and he's thrust into the vet role and the leadership role.
Yeah, because see you later to D Mill and shit like that. But we'll get more into, like, all our roster updates later on. But yeah, let's talk about Steven Adams right now. What are your thoughts, baby?
Yeah, so I went through Steven Adams a bit. I won't repeat myself too much. But in terms of, like, bringing him in, I think it's a positive for our defense, our help defense. He'll be better at that. He's a good screen setter and much better than D Faves. So I think he'll bring those kind of intangibles, like I mentioned. He'll bring that toughness, a good mentality to the team, and a good kind of locker room presence that I think we need. Whereas I think D Fave is quite like a quiet kind of guy. And then lastly, just great at setting screens and bring that kind of grittiness that we need in the team at the moment. I think most importantly is the fit, right? So I think the good question you asked is, like, what is the fit with the roster, and how do I think the roster sort of turned out? I actually think overall the roster kind of got worse, but that's basically more so because of Jrue leaving. So I think he leaves a massive defensive void, which Bledsoe kind of matches, but not as good. And then we kind of miss out on Jrue kind of making good plays, being able to pass, which I think Bledsoe's a bit inconsistent. So while I think the fit of Steven Adams actually is better than D Favors as a fit,
Yeah.
I still think overall the roster kind of got a bit worse. And I think, that potentially could be sort of intentional in terms of maybe we're going to flip Bledsoe, and then as well as we're obviously just, banking on assets. We're collecting assets like Sam Presti kind of is, and just hoping to draft another superstar, another generational player to fit our timeline with BI and Zion a bit more. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Like I said, the fit's probably better, but overall, team got slightly worse, in my opinion. What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, like you keep on mentioning it. Yeah, like he's like probably like a great like a screen setter. What's it called Steven Adams and everything like that. The main kind of thing though is that Steven Adams is probably the strongest, if not one of the strongest. Probably is the strongest freaking dude in the league, right? He's a Kiwi. He used to be a rugby player, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, bro. Like we Aussies, bro. Like we talk shit on Kiwis, bro. But let's not talk shit, bro. When it comes to rugby, they're always beating us, bro. All Blacks are always shitting on the Wallaby. Oh, was it? Yeah, right.
Yeah, Wallabies. Not even a competition.
It's not even a competition. So like, as much as we want to call them sheep shaggers, right? How I see it, bro. It's hectic the fact that we've actually got, because it's gonna be hard, almost impossible to get a freaking Aussie on the Pelicans team, but at least we got a Kiwi. You know what I mean? So I reckon that's freaking sick for the Pelbros specifically, because it's like, hey, kind of close to home, don't you reckon?
Yeah, he's like he's the BI guy that we can support now, and he's actually on our team.
Yeah.
Really quickly, I just want to say, because I forgot to mention it, and you mentioned it briefly. I think our rebounding gets better with Steven Adams.
Yeah, for sure. Defensive rebounding, especially too.
Yeah, and he is actually one of the best offensive rebounders as well. So
my bad,
we've already got Zion, and then we've got Steven Adams. Surely we're going to be raking in a lot more possessions for our plenty of missed shots.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other thoughts from yourself?
Only kind of thing is that I guess the main kind of thing is like I was saying before in terms of like what we could be comparing to. I guess the biggest beef people have with Steven Adams is that like, yeah, he's just like another D Faves kind of center, as opposed to a more versatile center in which I guess the quote unquote floor is more spaced out or something like that, right? But I reckon it still kind of works out because of the fact that we've still got shooters like you mentioned before, JJ, Lonzo when he can, and then main thing too is Zion, right? Zion can still shoot too. Let's not forget that. We can't necessarily say Steven Adams is the shooter, but still he could be that anchor in the team, which we obviously need, because as soon as if last year was anything for us, was that as soon as the Favors came back in the mix, we started getting out of that 13 loss streak. So let's not forget that. Like we do need a kind of solid piece as like a Steven Adams. So I reckon it's alright. It seems like a more cooler version of D Faves. It seems like we'll get. I mean, I'm all happy with the locker room, because it seems like he's more banter and shit. That's pretty cool. Young team. But the only kind of thing is, like I said, the spacing kind of thing. People want to beef about what else was in the market. Obviously, everyone's always like, I'm always going to be on the like Miles Turner kind of train too. There's that, like more kind of centers that are more, like versatile, I guess, in terms of they can shoot too. So now there's more space on the floor, and then Zaya can just go in and freaking do his thing. So what do you reckon about that though? Like in terms of that issue, I guess the biggest beef people could have.
Yeah, in terms of spacing, obviously it doesn't get any better. I don't know what exactly the plan is, so hopefully if we flip Bledsoe, it definitely needs to be for a shooter.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it levels out in terms of spacing. Interestingly enough, there are still a few potential guys we could suss out, like Aaron Baines is still on the market.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Ibaka's signed with the Clippers just a couple hours ago, so he was one guy that I was rooting for earlier. So there were a few guys that I was looking at that I would be interested in. Baines, Paul Millsap, even Marc Gasol. We know Millsap's already re-signed. Gasol's in discussion, but I don't think Pelicans are even an option.
Yeah.
There was a bit of talk earlier about Baines and Pelicans actually like being in talks. I don't know if anything ever came to it. It could have just been like, sussing out, but I don't know how much money we have left. Doesn't seem like it's likely, and he'd have to play a backup center role, which don't think really makes sense at the moment.
We already got Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of what we could have got, there could have been other guys potentially, but again, Steven Adams isn't the worst option.
Yeah.
Those other free agents definitely just want to be on a contender, I'd say. Like Ibaka could have re-signed with Toronto, but he clearly wants to go to the Clippers to go for another chip, I reckon.
With his boy Kawhi.
Yeah, in terms of what we could have got, obviously potentially more spacing, but in the end, it will turn out to be a pretty good trade for us in the end.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with that, but only last kind of thing I want to chuck in there is that I feel as if we were forced to make a move, especially when it comes to the center position because of what's his face, D-Faze re-signing with Utah. I mean, no love lost there, my G. There's that,
Yep.
and then what's it called? Jahlil Okafor actually going to Detroit. That's quite interesting. I wonder how that pans out for him. But so obviously with that, we're like, okay, we're forced to make a move, and the fact is that Steven Adams wasn't obviously a free agent, right? But it's quite interesting because I ended up on this is that I wanted to say this to you before, but like like OKC, right? Like their entire situation right now. How I see it, it's kind of like a clearance sale. They're like, okay, quick, 90% off everyone. You know what I mean? Get your like into fire, so like get it now. Get your piece right now. That's why I was like, bro, whoever can get Gallinari, that's gonna be like OP and shit like that. Because they're just trading out all their pieces. I guess apart from like the young guys like Shy and stuff like that, but still trading it all out. And so I'm happy that we actually got a little piece of that action. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, overall, I can be happy with that, especially because of the fact it does improve the overall Jrue trade.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, now, we've been talking about us having to move on with the whole Jrue trade, but, let's just go over who's moving on from the Pelicans itself. So I think you touched on it already. Jahlil Okafor is another one of them. Signed with Detroit, so he was actually a free agent. I believe he's just getting the bag, really. I think it was a 2-year deal, 10 mil, I believe, so 5 mil each year. Considering he was on, I think it was a minimum, so about 1 point something mil for us. Congrats on him. Happy for him.
True.
He didn't manage to get that many minutes with the Pelicans, but I do like him as a player.
Jar watch.
Yeah, exactly. He's pretty fun to play on 2K actually, because he's actually got post moves.
Yeah.
But his defense is abysmal like in real life. So I'm happy for him. No love lost, like you said, and exactly the same situation for D Favors for me. 0 love lost as all. He came here, he gave us what he could. He gave us that 2020 game. He unfortunately, with circumstances, didn't work out for him here. He didn't play too well in the bubble. I'm happy to see him go back to a team that he loved or he played for before, and he kind of loved the fan base.
Yeah, and the fan base loves him. That's a big thing too, and that's really that's really good to see, to be honest.
Yeah, and he kind of collected the bag as well. I mean, 10 mil a year, that's probably worth his worth, but 3-year deal, I think it was for 30 mil. So happy for him. Any thoughts from yourself on these 2 moves for centers?
I mean, that's the thing. All I can say is that with that, it really forces us to make a move ASAP when it comes to getting a center. So yeah, I mean, D-Faves, check it out. Our top 5 games we made for D-Faves. That's the thing. No one else will be dishing out some D-Faves content. So don't be coming to us be like, oh, you guys ain't got no love for D-Faves. Yo, shut the fuck up. We got fucking more love than you guys have. Have you gone through the effort of trying to make a top 5 games kind of video, right? Probably not. So check it out on YouTube. Derek Favors top 5 games. That's probably the best tribute we could give out to Derek Favors for the 1 season he was with us. Is that Jahlil Okafor, bro? Like I was shouting out before. I think I don't know how in the what do you call it, NOLA Pelicans Reddit these listeners are and shit like that, but over the years, bro, even when we still had AD and shit, it was all about the like Jar Watch, right? That was the meme going around and shit like that. And then I saw some fucking funny fucking shit after Jar was traded. Basically, it's like that combined with the Game of Thrones thing. Like your watch has ended.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Yeah, bro, that's fucking funny. So yeah, that's probably the best way to kind of like end that note with Jahlil Okafor. We'll probably put some content on our Instagram with him. I think shitting on that one time with versus what's his face,
Drummond.
And now look at it, like, bro, he actually shouted him so much that he's taken his spot in Detroit now. Hey,
yeah.
And now Drummond is in Cleveland, right? So there's poetic justice in that, I guess. So shout out to Jahlil, bro. I'm really happy for him because, yeah, like you said, bro, he came to us from Philly, I believe it was. He was expected to be, the next big thing, but then shit just went down south. And yeah, he was given a good opportunity here in the in New Orleans to actually work on his game to show he is of value and shit like that. And yeah, bro, obviously, what's it called? It wasn't as of a secure kind of like his career wasn't as secure as it was before. But I'm really happy with the fact that we were able to give him a pathway to now secure, like you said, secure the bag, a 2-year kind of contract at Detroit, bro. So wish him all the fucking best, to be honest. Yeah, that's like my 2 cents when it comes to the centers of our roster departing us. But apart from that, let's talk about the other boys, K Rich and Frank, mate.
Yeah, they're currently not unrestricted free agents. So they actually potentially could be re-signed to us.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I think it's unlikely at this stage, especially for Frank, just because I feel like us drafting new gun, Kyra Lewis at that number 13, which we'll go into after this, kind of cemented that he just won't get playing time. Because if we're drafting a PG who's probably going to play backup PG to Lonzo, that's likely, in my opinion, to shift Nickel to that kind of backup shooting guard role.
Yeah.
So probably third in line backup behind JJ even. Which just means that Frank won't have enough time. Frank and Nickel shared a lot of time on the court last year as that kind of SG PG combo, and I think that just will be replaced by Kyra Lewis at this stage. So, no beef with Frank. I really liked him as a player. He hustled, he played well at times in limited minutes, but just a bit inconsistent. His 3-point was a bit shoddy at times. Happy to see him move on and hopefully for himself secure the bag. And then finally, I'll just quickly touch over Kenrich before I throw it over to you.
Sorry. I just want to say before you get into Kenny Hustle, like if we want to help this man secure the bag, Frank Jackson, everyone check out his what is it? That clothing shit he has.
Oh yeah,
Roses or something like that, right? Check it out. Check it out on his Instagram.
Roses or something.
Yeah, check it out on his Instagram page on like Franklin Jackson 5, I believe it is. Check it out, guys. Give him a follow. Give him some love because we at the Pelicans, we will still be following closely Frank Jackson's moves. But yeah, me and James obviously we're in Australia, so it's a bit more. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's quite expensive his clothing, but
yeah, I was gonna say just word of warning.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if you're gonna get fleeced.
Yeah. But the thing is that we're obviously in Australia, so imagine how much it's gonna cost even more for shipping. So yeah, but if you're got a few a bit of bank, want to support a brother, hit it up. Franklin Jackson 5. I think it's his clothing brand, something Roses or something like that. But check it out. It does look quite fresh. He has been quoted by Jrue too as the most freshest guy on the team. So there's that. And all right, sorry. Continue with Kenny Hustle.
Yeah, and then lastly with Kenny Hustle, also an unsigned free agent. I don't think we'll bring him back. The potential that we could just on something really cheap so that he can be that backup in case any injuries come up. But
True.
yeah, if we don't re-sign him, no love lost again. Kenny Hustle, I think me and you both have a lot of appreciation, a lot of love for Kenny Hustle, but unfortunately it was just too inconsistent, bricking a ton of threes, and injuries kind of derailed his role. And I feel like he was kind of brought in to kind of play Darius Miller's role, which we'll touch on after this as well. He's also another departing member. So with this season, and obviously with us having Josh Hart already, and Kenny getting injured, it just didn't seem like he kind of got his chance or got a big minutes in the team. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Happy to see them move on and hopefully for themselves secure the bag as well. Ryan, what are your thoughts on these two moves?
All I can say about Kenny Hustle is that okay, sorry, like for the Frank Jackson thing, yeah, exactly what you told, like what you said, pretty much echoes everything I would want to say. It's just, yeah, bro, like if anything right now, we are just crazy guard heavy. Although we've got mad love for Frank Jackson, it's just like, my G, like I don't even know if we've got a spot for you left. And let's not forget, there's still Didi too, getting cooked up in the NBL. So it's bro, it's part of the game. It's a tough sport, but that's what he signed up for, right? Kenny Hustle though, yeah, bro. That's the thing. Like, if this is actually the end of the Kenny Hustle with thing, let's not forget, because of the fact, obviously Kenny Hustle isn't all Hollywood or whatever bullshit, but we really appreciated him, especially during the time when Zion was injured, especially during like the very beginning. I guess like the first third of the season, I'd say. Kenny Hustle really helped us win a lot of games that we were out of, to be honest. He always had that energy, bro. Like he always played like his life was on the line. But the thing is that it's not like he was necessarily always good, but he played like his life was on the line,
Yeah, that's a good description.
Yeah. But the thing is that with that, bro, we got a lot of really good hustle winning plays. That's the whole reason that he's called Kenny Hustle. If you guys check out our Instagram, we actually do have plenty of, or maybe not plenty, but at least a couple of posts where we're featuring, highlighting a bit of our Kenrich Williams kind of action and shit. There's that one play I remember where he was just like refusing to what do you call it? Lose possession of I don't know, a missed 3-pointer or some shit like that. He feel like he's always Kenny Hustle is always taking charging fouls for us. He's always what do you call it? Putting his body on the line to make that winning play, and that's what it's all about, bro. So let's not forget what Kenny Hustle had done for us last season, because we shouldn't have even been in the playoff question. You know what I mean? Obviously, we didn't end up making the playoffs. Let's not talk about that. But we shouldn't have been in the question in the first place if it wasn't for, I mean, it wasn't just Kenny Hustle, but he had a huge impact because he was starting for us too during that time. So that's the thing. If this is the goodbye of Kenny Hustle, I hope that any Pelicans fan that's listening in, or even Kenny Hustle himself listening in, just know that we got nothing but love, respect for Kenny Hustle, and I'll be very interested to see what moves he makes later on if he does depart with us.
Yeah, sounds about right. Pretty much summarizes everything for those two players. I want to quickly divert back, which we probably should have mentioned as part of that extra trade with bringing in Steven Adams. Is obviously Darius Miller is involved in that trade, and he is actually going to OKC. So, that's another outgoing player from our team, and it kind of changes the makeup of our team. Unfortunately, he didn't see the floor this season because he was injured, and I think after that injury, it kind of hurt his chances of, I guess prolonging his or getting any minutes at all. But I just want to say, respect to Darius. He's been the last player that played for the Hornets, like the New Orleans Hornets. So he's been an OG. He's been with us forever. I still appreciate and respect his 3-point shot that he played really well in. I think it was either 2 seasons ago or maybe 3 seasons ago, and he just filled in this kind of small forward 3 and D kind of guy with maybe not so great D. I'd say average D at best, but still a player that I quite liked. And it's unfortunate that he got injured, which I believe was a full season-ending injury. So all the best to him, and hopefully, maybe he sees minutes on a rebuilding OKC team. Who knows? What's going to happen with him, or whether they're just going to flip him again. Ryan, any thoughts for Darius? I want to pour one out for him.
No, all I can say is, bro, we respect the minutes they've given to us over the course of the years. Even before either me or James became proper, Pelbros Pelicans fans, especially because this guy, I didn't know that, but he's been sticking around since we're the Hornets too. So, big love to him. Seems like he was probably like one of the last pieces, if not the last piece, especially after Jrue Holiday leaving, what's it called, of the, I guess, the entire changing of guard, if that makes sense, when it comes to the Pelicans roster. So, I can't give as much kind of inside detail as I did with Frank Jackson and Kenny Hustle as much as I'd love to, but just know that we've got respect for Darius Miller here, and bro, wish him the best with his entire situation at OKC. At least he was traded to OKC, because man was on an injury, so it'd be sad if it's like, okay, he's a free agent right now and no one's gonna sign him, so at least he's getting some payday, regardless if he gets minutes or not. He's still getting some pay, so respect to Darius Miller. I hope, wish all the best for him, I guess. Him and his family.
And then I think lastly, before we jump into our thoughts on the draft, we're getting a bit long here in terms of the episode, so bear with us. Just really quickly, Etuan Moore is also an unsigned free agent.
I wanted to talk
at the
about
moment.
That too.
We can't forget him. He's probably another one of our favorite Pelicans players. I don't know what the situation will be with Etuan, but I actually feel like out of the 3, Etuan, Frank, and Kenrich, I feel like Etuan's probably the most likely we'll re-sign.
Yeah, that's true.
Just because he can fill that kind of backup small forward and maybe backup shooter role, and he's a better shooter than those other 2 guys. So yeah, I mean, I won't go through too much because
He
we
can
don't know the details on him.
I was gonna say he can still be our vet too, like in the locker room. Because
Yeah,
if
exactly.
Etwan Moore was to be re-signed, then Zion would no longer be the longest tenured player with Pelicans. It would still be Etwan because Etwan was still with us during the AD kind of saga. And like I said, like I've said plenty of times before, because a lot of people don't realize that Etwan Moore started for us in the playoffs, especially in that playoff series too, where we swept Portland and shit. So let's not discredit the name of Uncle Etwan Moore. I do hope that he sticks around because he has plenty of tricks up his bag. The only kind of thing is that if the man could make sure he makes his threes, then by all means, let's keep him, man.
Yeah, I don't see any other teams really pursuing him that much.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make sense, but I do see us resigning him, especially for that veteran kind of locker room. He's been around for ages. He knows the organization. He'll be a solid guy that we just know will turn up if we need him.
Yeah, and then I think this leaves us to before we talk about the draft, I think this leads us to the very final question when it comes to the Pelicans free agency. I think we both know what I'm talking about, right?
What is it, mate?
Mr. B.I., Mr. Brandon Ingram.
Oh, yeah.
My current favorite Pelicans player as of right now since Jrue left.
Yeah, man still needs to get his contract. Obviously, they're still working through the details. The trade, I think, needs to go through. So once Jrue kind of is officially off our books, then I believe that gives us availability to throw down that fat bag for Brandon Ingram. Get that max contract, baby. I don't know. Sign him to whatever, 5 years, 180 mil, whatever it is.
Give the man his money. Give the man his money. Please. If there's anything you do, just give fucking B.I. the fucking money. Like, I do care that Drue's left, but, come on. Don't let B.I. walk, right?
Yeah, he won't. There's no other team that can afford him, I think, but, man deserves it. We've seen him become an all-star. David Griffin knows what to do. Give him the fucking money.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, on top of that, too, is that B.I. wants to be here. You know what I mean? Especially if, Zoe's sticking around, which I believe he's going to as of right now. B.I. definitely wants to stick around here. It's definitely, good culture. If anything, he himself is a good role model for all the young cats because of the fact how he is officially the reigning most improved player in the league, too. And it was an all-star in the West, which is hard to do, bro. So, big shout out to B.I., bro. We're just gonna, like I said, he's my new favorite player after Jrue now. So, I got nothing but love for B.I., bro. And I hope to continue these many, many years of saying how much we got love for B.I.A.
Yeah, for sure. Lock him down now, Griff.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, but I reckon that's probably true what you're saying. That's probably what the delay is. We're just waiting for all this shit to be sorted out so that we actually understand our financials, and then, let's pay this man. That's what I like to hear. But I'm pretty sure we're not going to be hearing any, slip-ups, some of that, like B.I. doing some KD Snake joining Golden State Warriors, kind of shit like that.
He's restricted, so...
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it should be interesting. But yeah, let's just quickly jump into the draft. So... with the Pelicans, and we had a few picks this year, but obviously, like you mentioned earlier, we traded a bunch of them. So we picked, RJ Hampton went to Denver. There was another guy we picked later on in the draft. I think we traded him to Charlotte. So yeah, with a number 13 pick, we decided to pick Kyra Lewis, which was actually an interesting pick. First, I think, everyone saw that he was a PG. And at that time, because we hadn't made any other moves, we had like 7 guards or something on our roster. It looked like we were just stacking up guards for no reason, but overall, with the trades that have now gone through, again, disclaimer, I won't pretend that I know everything about the draft or college basketball, but did watch a few highlights on him at the moment, and I'm pretty optimistic. He looks like a pretty solid kind of young guy.
Mm-hmm.
Point guard, I see his game kind of looking a bit like De'Aaron Fox's game.
Yeah, that's what he's been saying, yep.
Yeah, he's like fast, he's speedy, he's a decent passer, can get to the basket. Bit of a smaller kind of frame.
I was going to say too is that the real Pelbros, if you guys are real Pelbros fans, right, you'll know that James has a crush on De'Aaron Fox. Just saying.
De'Aaron Fox, my boy, bro. I love that guy. Man just got paid big time as well. I got like this freaking max.
Yeah, true. But continue.
Kind of see him similar like that. Like he won't be as good, and he is kind of 6'3", which I think is going to hamper his play a bit in the NBA because guys are so athletic these days. But he looks like a pretty solid player to just be a backup point guard, especially at this stage. Which would suggest that we're moving north to a more shooting guard role, which I think makes sense because Nickel looked like he looked like kind of lost at times with the ball in his hands. It might just be better for him to kind of be a spot-up shooter or kind of focus on getting buckets. But yeah, overall, looking like a pretty solid pick. It seems like we just wanted to pick the best player that was available and then figure out the rest later in terms of, do we have too many players in one position or not?
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of, again, I won't pretend like I know much about the draft, but yeah, it just seems like we just picked whoever we thought was the best at the time. Ryan, any thoughts on this draft pick in particular?
Yeah, like I'm exactly like you, if not probably worse when it comes to draft knowledge or whatever bullshit. But I think I linked you to this one video from some guy on YouTube. It was like, basically he was talking about how Kira Lewis or Kira Lewis, whatever, is potentially the quote unquote steal of the draft. It could be a clickbaity title, but he seems like he has very, very high hopes for this young man, so that's pretty good. I like to hear that. It seems like a very talented dude. The only kind of thing I'll say to add to your thing, obviously talking about De'Aaron Fox and everything like that, my kind of thing, it could just be the haircut he had on or whatever bullshit, but when I'm seeing this guy attack the basket, bro, I'm seeing shades of like a baby Jrue, I think I said that to you too. Obviously probably very different play styles. However, still my heart needs it, bro. I need to see some kind of you know what I mean? It's kind of like after the breakup, shit, was that her? Bro, I swear she was there.
The Jrue goggles on.
Yeah. So I like to think that it's really happening, that I am seeing some version of a baby Jrue in Kira Lewis. Because that's the thing, Jrue Holiday left us, and now we got Kira. And then who came in? Who's the new cat that came in? So there's the Kira Lewis guy.
True.
So, with that, I feel as if just the energy, on an energy level, please be kind of like a baby Jrue. You know what I mean? If not better, more athletic, more younger, more versatile, etc., etc. So yeah, bro. All I can really say with that is that let's see how it plays out with this rook. But it's quite funny because everyone else is still pretty much a rook. You know what I mean? Like no one really got a proper season last season. So although he's technically a rook, Kira Lewis, I mean he's gonna fit right in because everyone else is young as shit.
Yeah, for sure. You bring a good point about how everyone's really young. It'll be really interesting to see who's the leader, I guess.
Yeah.
Who's the dominant voice. So, although Jrue might be quiet, I still think that he was kind of like the leader at the time. So whether that's JJ that plays that role this year or, if Zion or BR has to step up, but we know, how quiet some of those guys are on the team. It'll be interesting to see. Who knows? Maybe Kyra's got some alpha dog in him. Hopefully he does, and he could bring that energy and that kind of voice to the team. It'll be really, really interesting to see.
Yeah, that's true. Like the last kind of thing too is that for people that don't remember, obviously we've got SVG, so Stan Van Gundy as our coach now, and I think in that video that we made on our YouTube channel, check it out if you haven't. Basically, yeah, we were talking about. I feel as if that is the reason in which JJ Redick will stay, because of their previous relationship back in Orlando and shit, right? So with that, I feel as if if anyone was to step up, especially this season, it could be JJ as that veteran leader because of the fact, like I just said, like he can vouch for Stan Van Gundy. Who knows? But it would be interesting. You got Steven Adams now, potentially Eric Bledsoe. That could be a flip. But it would be interesting to see out of these young cats who actually ends up being that, I guess that vocal guy, that whatever, that leader, that that locker room leader that we need. As of right now, going over the jokes, it is Zion Williamson, right? The longest tenured Pelicans player. So he maybe is that vet that we need, right? That we need, but we don't deserve.
Yeah, true. Hopefully he brings it all together because we're going to be building around him and BI. So, his kind of expectations are to be the leader for the franchise and the team for the next few years. Yeah,
man. But I reckon that's pretty much sums up what we want to be spitting today, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Went a bit long. Maybe we'll discuss the other moves throughout the whole entire league in another recording or another episode.
Yeah, potentially, but I reckon by the time we do that next week, how much more shit's gonna be changed there. But yeah, we could do all that, do all that together, to be honest. So yeah.
Yeah, so look out for that. We'll go over a bunch of the other exciting moves throughout the season. Throughout the off season. There's quite a few of them. We'll wrap this one up. We already plugged ourselves earlier in the episode, so you know where to check us out. We won't bore you any longer. But any final words, Ryan, before we close it off?
My only final word is like Jrue Holiday is gone, but he's not forgotten.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep, my friend. But yeah, let's just sign out. Pelbros checking out.
Laters.